Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Beacon Breakdown. As always, I'm Mike, and today I'm joined by,
Cade or Kilo.
and he is another one of our League of Legends members. We had Blake on last week in the mid lane, but Cade is representing the bottom lane and
Yep.
support sometimes, I
Yeah.
hear. So,
s-
multi-role,
Yeah.
multi-talent here. Um, as we're looking to get into it, we're going to kind of recap past week's results. Starting with Overwatch, we have our club team who is surprisingly 3-0 now, undefeated and winning their matchup last week in the NECC. It's been a great addition to the program, really, to kind of integrate some players and students that were involved in the program, not really at that competitive level, but
Yeah.
they still get a chance.
Yeah. It gives everybody a chance to get involved, and just want to join to have at least some bit of competitive that's not just ranked. They have that option to where they're not forced into anything super serious.
Yeah, 100% agree. And maybe we'll have some more club teams and other
Yeah.
esports in the future. As we take a look at our actual Overwatch teams, a couple of unfortunate losses start off the season, maybe a little shaky, but Shield did fall to Cleveland State University, and Beacon lost to Concordia, Nebraska. So looking to bounce back this Thursday, and hopefully we'll get some of that action on stream here.
Yeah.
Um, your team of choice, although you didn't play.
No.
Incredibly close series last week against Bethel,
Yeah.
losing 2-1, and they're kind of rivals, man. You guys
Yeah.
play them a lot.
We play them a lot. Usually we come out on top of this matchup, but just unfortunate this time. A really kind of got hit hard game one against them and dropped that early, but then we came out game two and really kind of reversed it and swung out hard and swept that game pretty fast. And then that game three, it was really close. Just some some great plays by the jungler.
Vector.
Vector,
Yep.
just keeping us in the game with so many dragon steals. I'm pretty sure I had three dragon steals, which were all three of our dragons, and then some heroic plays in the fountain or in the base
Uh
to keep
huh.
the game alive. But unfortunately, couldn't keep alive and dropped that game.
Yeah, definitely incredibly close all the way. There were so many moments where you're like, who's gonna win? We don't really know, but Bethel getting the edge there. But like we said, we do see them a lot, so I'm sure we'll have a chance to do battle again this semester and
Yep.
hopefully avenge that. Taking a look at Smash Bros, they kind of had an interesting week as they lost 2-0 to Mount Vernon, and they won 2-0 against Mount Vernon. So the reason for that is we're kind of doing different rosters in the NECC and the GLEC. So our kind of lower ranked, less skilled group on Tuesdays in the
Yep.
NECC did unfortunately fall. Good effort from them, though. There were a number of close sets in there. But then on Saturday, we broke out the main roster, kind of the top players, and got the
Yeah.
revenge
We
there.
got the last laugh, on them.
Yes, we did. We did. A little bit of a catfish, right? They're
Yeah.
thinking, oh, these guys are easy, and then we pull out the real Valpo. So good to pick up that win in Gleck, but also good to get the experience in NECC because these
Yeah.
players, don't often get to play official matches. And,
Yeah.
you would admit that the environment between a scrim and an actual match is very different.
Yeah, it's very good that they're doing this because Chase talks about this all the time. It's like you're playing a whole different game. You're in an entirely different environment. Um, there's a lot more pressure. And some people aren't
Yeah.
really used to that pressure, so that they're questioning everything they do and they're second guessing themselves. Like instead of when they were playing ranked and they're in their comfort zone, right?
Yep.
This really brings you out of your comfort zone. But I mean, the only way to improve and get better in these situations is just to be in more of these situations. So it's good that they're getting the game time.
100%. So we're going to look for them to kind of grow throughout the season. And I think the talent's there. They just need a little more experience. Rocket League, Also falling short in the NECC to Miami of Ohio. I know that you have some friends who played in that game and gave you a little bit
Yeah,
of feedback.
it was not very close. I heard it was a very a very sweet game, you know. Unfortunate. Some some roster change happened where one of the members did leave the team, so um, now they're kind of working with a core three for that team. So instead of core four, so they just maybe need some time. I'm not really sure what kind of environment that team is in right now, but just with three of them, just getting more used to each other. Not having to worry about someone else switching in and out, so they can get more used to with how they play and hopefully bounce back in the next match.
Yeah, 100%. The other thing is, these guys might just be a playoff team.
Yeah.
I know last year they made a big run to the championship game, fell a little
hmm
short in that. And then last semester they almost knocked off the one seed. So
Yeah.
they really do show up when it matters a lot
Yeah.
of the time.
And you have to remember that two of the people on the team are this is their first year competing in this type of setting. So it's also very new for them to be in this situation. So uh, just I think they just need a little bit more time. Starting off the season a little shaky, but there's still plenty of time to come back.
100%. And I think that's kind of, indicative of all these Valpo teams. We tend to kind of be slow starters, but
Yeah.
pick it up as we get going. Um, so I think that kind of recaps all of our major games here for the week. So now that we've got you on, I want to talk a little more about League of Legends. I
Yeah.
know we went through a similar thing last episode with Blake, but it's always good to get these insights, and a lot of these stories are a little bit different. I mean, how did you first find League of Legends?
So it kind of started, quarantine hit, and we were all sent home from high school. And, you know, my high school did online school a little different, where it wasn't really school. So I had a ton of time on my hands. And at that time, I just built a new PC. So I was kind of low on money, and I'm like, well, what's a free game to play? And then there was League of Legends. Because you hear about League of Legends through esports, even if you don't really know, you always hear League of Legends esports, especially like around Worlds. So I kind of gave it a shot, and I had some friends who played it before. So I started playing with them, and I kind of got a little addicted. I just couldn't stop playing.
Yep.
So that's really how I got into it.
Yeah, from what I've heard, League is definitely one of those games that just kind of sucks you in and really,
Yeah.
you know, really
It,
really grabs you. So
Yeah, and it has to for you if you want to get better. You kind of have to get sucked in because it the barrier to entry for the game is very high. It's a lot of knowledge to take in. So like if you can play it casually, there's like ARAM and stuff like that. But like if you want to play rank or anything, there's a very big barrier to entry for it.
yeah, and I mean it definitely takes a lot of time, but I think you're not alone. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people during quarantine definitely picked up some new games, finally overcame that barrier. But as you were looking, out of quarantine, looking at college, looking at going ahead in your future, was Valpo Esports something you kind of saw, or was it kind of like, oh, I'm gonna go to Valpo and they happen to have esports here?
Yeah, so how it happened was from my hometown. That's where my roommate's from too, and we didn't know each other all throughout high school. Just total random. Found him, and then we started rooming, and he's on the Rocket League team. So he's like, he knew I play League of Legends, and he was the one who found out about the esports program here, and he joined the Rocket League team, and he's like, hey, you should try out League of Legends, or like do the interest form for League of Legends here at Valpo. And I'm like, okay, that sounds pretty fun. And
Yeah.
so that's how I found out about it. And I talked to Chase, the coach, before I joined, and I did like a little like tryout practice type thing to see how I meshed well with the other people on the team, and it was a bunch of fun. So it was a no-brainer once Chase asked me to join the team.
That's awesome. I mean, a lot of these stories, hearing it word of mouth through friends and definitely, building up that community. And once you got here, what was the experience like? Was esports something, had you been on any teams before? Was this kind of like a whole new environment, I guess?
So for esports, coming here was insane because of the lab here, right? I've never
Yeah.
seen anything really like this, and being able to have access to this, and be able to just like come down and play is just it's really cool. And I've never had anything like this, so I was very happy, you know. Um, but competitive wise, I used to play competitive Call of Duty,
Okay.
so very different from
Yeah.
League of Legends. But I've always had that like uh, competitive like drive in me. Like I've always like wanted to get better, and um, always like having competition. I think for me it just makes everything more fun, and I think that's a big reason why like played League of Legends for so long is because I started to play ranked, and just I had that I don't know, just like the drive to just want to keep playing and keep playing and keep playing to get better and better.
Yeah, that's super interesting though. I didn't know you used to play Call of Duty.
Yeah.
How'd you get into that, and what was the team like that you were on for that?
So it was Black Ops 3,
Okay.
and I was on my PS4, and they had these like community things, and I joined one, and they're like, "Hey, I always watched competitive Call of Duty as a kid, and I saw something to try out for a team, and so I tried out and I joined, right? And so that's how I started. And I still remember my first teammate on competitive Call of Duty because I still talk to him today. So
Nice.
that's pretty cool. He's an Eagles fan, so he's from Philly, so he's probably
Oh,
not happy right now.
tough senior.
So, yeah, but yeah, and I think I played competitive Call of Duty until about um, yeah, I think until about quarantine started, or like the year before quarantine started, is when I stopped playing competitive Call of Duty, and I kind of had a void for that competitiveness and kind of just like lack of wanting to play video games in general. And then I picked up League, and that's where it kind of all started back again.
Yeah, so you kind of mentioned that, the team environment experience is very different between the two games, but,
Yeah.
talk to me a little bit more about what those differences are, really.
Uh, so I, it's very different here because those teams were like online, right? These teams are like I see them mostly every day. Like I'll walk by in campus and I'll see Blake or just walking around, or I'll see Jacob, and you just say hi, and just like even coming down here, right, during the day, there's usually someone down here, right, that is also playing. So yeah, the team here just feels a lot more close, like everybody's really good friends. No one really has any problems with each other. Like we all very well mesh together, and just it's always joking around and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Always having a good time. Always keeping the vibes up. So yeah, it's a great time and a great team environment that we have here.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's really what sets Valpo Esports
Yeah,
apart, kind of, is, having this nice open space and open community approach to things. Kind of looking past that to, your own personal way that you approach the game. I know esports is, very mental. It's all about, how how you think about the game.
yeah.
What's going through your mind before a game and while you're in a game?
So usually before a game, when draft starts, I kind of just like talking to Chase, all right, what do I want to play, right? That's like usually the first thing that comes to my
Yeah.
mind. What am I feeling like today? What kind of play style am I looking to play for? So, I'll think that over to myself, how am I feeling when I played earlier today? How am I feeling? So, and then I'll pick a champ based off of that. So just say I'm feeling aggressive today, so I want to go Kaisa.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, Kaisa, all right. And then Chase like, okay, we're drafting Kaisa. And then he's like, because usually we start draft with ADC? What ADC do we want to build because that's how the meta is right now?
Yeah.
But so how do we want to do that? And then we'll go. And then usually after draft, I'm just, thinking. I usually have music playing on the background because I don't like to get too much into my head because uh, that's never a good thing when you're too much into your head. So I'm playing music, I'm just trying to vibe, chill out, keep calm. And then just thinking about, okay, what do we looking at the team comps? What do we need to do to win this game? Right? How can we get to that point? Right? And then what do I need to do? Right? So say Kaisa, right? I'm playing against a Caitlyn. I need to play safe in lane. Uh, don't really go in unless we have a clear way of winning, right? And trying to do that and get ahead in that way through the team, through jungle intervention, through bot lane, so stuff like that. I'm kind of thinking of like the game as a whole, um, and what I need to do in my lane, so I'm not uh, throwing the game, and I'm not
Right.
feeding and into the
Yeah,
game,
yeah.
because that's the last thing you want to do.
Obviously,
Yeah.
and it's a very, very team-based game. It,
Hmm.
it feels a lot of times like, you can't do everything. Even though
Yeah.
you're the ADC, that's kind of like the main role, I guess, the quarterback of
Yeah.
League of Legends. You still have to rely on your teammates a lot, really.
Yeah. And I think with ADC is Um, you said it's like a quarterback. I think of it as more as mm, like a kicker kicking a field goal, right? Because for you to be able to kick that field goal, uh, that extra point, your team also needs to be able to uh, set you up, right? So, like you said, it's not just you. Like it's your support, right? Because your support, like ADCs can't do everything on their own. Their support is a huge help to them, right?
Yeah,
But ADCs usually get most of the glory because they do all the damage, right? But what you don't see is the jungler setting up the ganks, setting up the plays, the mid laner getting picks, right? The top laner, um, making sure that the other top laner isn't getting heavily fed because they can just usually run you down as an ADC, and your support keeping you alive, stuff like that. So, um, I like it's important that you have full trust in your teammates, right? In this type of like in these type of situations, right? In the team type of situations,
yeah,
because that was a huge shock for me, right? Because in solo queue, you are like the quarterback because you do have to play for
yeah.
yourself. You do have to 1v9. Like that's the mentality that you have to have going into that game. But when you're in this team environment, you really have to trust your teammates to uh, to have your back and to make the best plays possible, not only for you but for the whole team to win the game.
100%. The ADC, yes, a star, but only a small one in the grand
Yeah,
scheme of things. And you mentioned before that kind of this meta, you know, makes it so the ADC is a little more prominent, but these metas change a lot,
yeah,
and we talk about being in Call of Duty. That's probably pretty easy, right? You can
yeah.
just queue
It's
up, you can play. But
yeah.
League of Legends, there's that barrier we mentioned.
Hmm.
How much time are you putting in kind of to learn all the different elements and the new metas versus actually just playing the game?
Yeah. So you kind of see the patch notes, right? And you read them, right? And then you think to yourself, okay, this champion got heavily nerfed. I'm not gonna play this champion because it ch- does not feel good. Like that happened with Zeri a little bit ago, got heavily nerfed, and you're just okay. Like you can play a game with her, right? Usually you wouldn't do it in draft because you don't want to go into a ranked game. Usually right off patch because you don't know what's heavily changed. If there's like a big change, like the Aurelion Soul that just came out rework,
Yep.
he came out very very strong. Um, so you look at that and you're just like, okay, um, that kind of changes how you play the game with your counter picks, right? Who your bans, right? So if you're like mainly banning, say Jax, right? But this Aurelion Soul comes out and it's just so broken. does so much damage. You're like, okay, I have to change how I play. I have to ban this Aurelion Soul, and I have to be ready for a Jax pick if they do pick it. So like stuff like that is very prevalent. Um, but you do have to put in uh, some time just reading the patch notes and making sure you understand it. But I feel like a lot of it is actually playing the game, because that's how you kind of get the best feel for things is
Yeah.
when you're actually playing against it.
It's kind of more like less than just like reading and knowing the
Yeah.
changes. You have to like actually feel them
Yeah, you
out,
have to
right?
feel
Like
it
it's
because
one thing to say, this guy got more damage on his E, but it's another thing to actually play it and use
yeah,
his E, right?
yeah, because you can read a change and you're like this character's broken. Like this
Yeah.
sounds like the most broken character of all time, and then you play it and you're like this sucks. Like this just, like why am I playing this? Like this is horrible.
Yeah.
So the stats on paper can be a little misleading. So I think the best way to really fill out a patch is just to play the game, and that's where most of your time goes.
Um, so looking ahead, kind of, to this semester, you're starting to play, more games as an ADC for the team. What are you looking to accomplish this semester?
Um, I'm kind of just looking to grow individually, you know. There are, I mean, a lot of really good players on the team right now, so it, I can't really think about like competing against them for their spot, right? I really have to focus on improving myself, right? To be the best player I can. Because if I worry too much about like how like Karras is playing, right, or like trying to replace him, right, like it's just not gonna go well because I'll be too focused on something else rather than I need to be focused on myself improving. So that's really my goal for the season is more personal goals,
Yeah.
just to try to improve myself and my own gameplay.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, the best approach. I mean, that's all you can do, right? You
Yeah,
can't you can't control what's outside of that, how everyone else is playing. It's just, how am I improving day to
yeah.
day?
And then just improving just in case someone does get sick, or can't play, I need to be able to be ready to play, that happened a couple weeks ago. Karras couldn't play, so I was the one who had to come in and step up and be ready to play.
Yeah, always need those people. I mean, the substitutes, the guys that aren't starting, a lot of times make or break the team,
Yeah,
because they always have to be ready and they contribute a lot to, the environment. You always being here and supporting the guys while they're playing, definitely a key part of our program and really any team.
yeah.
Um, Taking a quick look outside of esports, what are you here majoring in? Do you have any other extracurriculars you're involved in or interests?
So I'm like majoring in accounting,
Okay,
and I'm looking to add a minor of business analytics
nice.
while I'm here, and I am on a 4+1 track plan here. So 4 years for my bachelor's, and then one more year for my master's degree, and then I'll be able to take the CPA exam, um,
Yep.
and become a certified public accountant. That's like the main goal here.
Yeah. Those 4+1 plans are very nice,
They are very
to kind
nice.
of fast track it and get
Yeah.
both of those done. Well, yeah, congrats to you on that, and definitely wishing you all the luck on that degree. As we're starting to close out here, any final thoughts or shout outs for you?
Shout out to Blake. We killed it on the cast last year,
We did.
last semester, on the league. I hope to be able to cast with him some more games this year. It's always a good time when we're casting. Shout out to my roommate Josh for telling me about esports here. Getting me into this. Um, that that was really fun. Shout out to you. You
Thank
always
you.
running a great things here. Shout out to Tristan. He always is down here checking up on what everybody needs. Making sure everything's all right. And shout out to the entire League of Legends team. Great guys. Great time to hang out with.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me. And like you said, maybe we'll catch you on the stream for
Yep.
some casts in the future. But For now, I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Beacon Breakdown. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.